Natasha, it's great to have you on the podcast again. How you doing?
I'm super excited. We did it last year and I'm back again.
Yeah,
Yay!
yeah, it's awesome, and like, yeah, we both did it like on my podcast like at last April. So
Yeah.
it's been a while, and it's good to have you back. And
Quite a while.
yeah,
Been quite a
and
while, yeah.
yeah, I just kind of thought like we could talk about kind of like mindset
Hmm.
and like kind of confidence and like failure and those kind of areas really. We can go with the flow, but I was just thinking recently, like we're both in the same kind of space. You're a coach as well, and I was thinking of like self confidence, and a lot of people, I've been there myself, and I think we all do at some stage. Is that we can sometimes like lack confidence, and sometimes not take action um, based on that. And I think like it's important to have that self confidence and to try things out to develop it. You know.
Okay, so if I got it right, you're saying that sometimes we have to experiment with different things to get that self confidence. Am I right? Is
Mm.
that what you said? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. But still, we do not. We don't do as many things as we should be. Right?
yeah.
Okay. So I think that goes back to being stuck in your comfort zone. I mean, that's the only explanation that we can have. And especially, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of people, despite having a lot of talent and having great skills at work, they still would not budge even when you tell them that what you created and you should do it. And the number one response that I get from those people is that when I want to do it, I really want to do it. Where else I will not do it? And I'm like, that's that's just an excuse. Stop putting perfectionism as an excuse for not doing anything, right? Because then you will not do it ever. I am, in particular, I'm a fan of shabby starts. Like, I love it. I love that you suck at first. You really perform pathetically bad. Why?
Mm.
Because once you start, and then with every step that you take and you're learning something new, and when you reach somewhere, and when you look back, you are absolutely astounded the kind of journey that you've had. And
Mm.
those are your milestones. Like when you look back and you see, what, that's how I started, and look how far I have come. I think that is also what instills a lot of confidence in you. Each and every step that you take, when you take step, it's like momentum. So you have to set up a momentum of taking action, learning things from it, implying the next time, so that that you constantly in a very pleasant rut of building up confidence. If you're not doing anything, how will you get confidence from anywhere? So for me, in like I am a fan of shabby starts. I'm a fan of experimenting with different things, but one also has to understand that when we say experimenting with different things, just a lot of people get very enthusiastic about it. That doesn't mean that I'll do something which is completely not me. I mean, you have to honor certain aspect of your own personality. So be sensible about what you have to experiment. It should not be
Mm.
like I'm not at all this, but I really want to do this. I mean, that's stupid. Don't do that, because once you and especially if that's your first step, because what will happen if that's your first step and you're directly taking that leap and going to the other side where you're not even like that's not even you, guaranteed that you won't like the experience, and you won't like the experience, and that would tell your brain that I tried, but it didn't go well. I didn't like it. I was rooted down, and rather than building up the confidence, you would actually pull it back. So do things according to your personality. Take smaller steps. Do shabby starts, but just be in the momentum. That's what my experience says.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's a really good point. And I think it's that journey and that process of where you once were to where you are now, and kind of where you're moving towards, and that process and looking back on that journey and seeing that growth, isn't it, in between?
Right.
And I think, like you said, a lot of people sometimes kind of are perfectionists, and I used to be very much like it, and sometimes I have to check in myself, and it's like like you're going to try and you're probably going to fail, and it's those kind of pitfalls in between, isn't it, that kind of build you as a person, and that's how you kind of learn and gain confidence, isn't it? It's I
Yeah,
think a lot of people
absolutely, 100%.
yeah, and a lot of people put pressure on themselves, I find, to get it right. And I think, that ties into a whole lot of other things, probably, how people are going to judge us, how we're going to be perceived, all of these things, especially I think with social media. Um, so it all interlinks in some way, doesn't it? It all kind of interconnects together.
I think rather than our performance cap, if I may say so, has been that let me do my best, which is a very wrong approach. I think every time you try something, your focus should be that I should be doing it better than the last time.
Yeah.
That's how, because perfection somewhere just puts a cap somewhere. It's like this was my perfection, this was my perfect one. And then
Mm.
you want to say that there's nothing beyond that. That's not possible. There's always a scope for growth. So I think one should be looking at it from the lens of making a progress rather than actually doing it right or doing it perfectly, because again, right and perfect is subjective. It's according to
Yeah.
different people, right? So progress, just focus on progress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's like it's more rewarding and fun, isn't it, in that way as well? Because you look at, a lot of people who are probably doing podcasts now, or like, people who are in movies, and you look at the early footage, and you can see, how they've changed and kind of molded. And it's like there's a guy called Joe Rogan who does podcasts. And you look at his very early, like, couple of podcasts, his very first few, and you're like, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on? Like, what? And you can see how it's molded over time, and kind of that growth. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it? With anything that we do, you can look at, like, where you started, and where you are now. And that kind of gives, I think, people probably inspiration as well, isn't it? Because it's like, well, if that person started out there and they did XYZ, then why can't, someone else do, XYZ? Especially with this, like podcasting, or, like coaching, it's possible to do. I mean, it's, you have your show as well, which you do. And, like, you can either use your phone, you can use a computer. Like, there's no kind of limit to it, if that makes
Discrimination,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you're very right. In fact, even if I talk about myself, the first
Mm,
time when I started my show, that was Step Up with Natasha. And if you actually look at the first few episodes, oh my God, I used to be jittery. I used to be, a lot of butterflies. I used to have a very high pitch. That was not out of excitement. That was actually to hide my nervousness and my fears that what I'm feeling really jittery. And of course, with due course, and then I learned how to talk and stuff. How to
mm,
talk in terms of how to talk when there's a person right in front of you and the whole thing is getting recorded, right? So
yeah.
I think the first few attempts are always just to make yourself familiarized with the whole thing.
Mm,
So you should never give up right after first few ones, because that's just you're just getting acclimatized to the whole environment.
yeah.
First you need to be in that zone. Once it's like, supposedly, I just walked into a coffee house, right? So I will take some time to look around to see what kind of people are there. Okay, what are they doing? Is it a very chill sort of cafe, or is it, a lot of cafes, they have these workstations? Is it like that? What sort of, it takes some time, so give yourself that time. And when say at that time, as in, make those many attempts to get yourself very familiar with the situation, and then take your steps. And that's what
Mm,
exactly happened with me. And in fact, I think even in terms of coaching also, it goes the same way. So you're right, and especially when it comes to social media. In fact, certain professions are like that. I mean, whether coaches like us, whether podcasts, you really need to present yourself out there, for a very simple reason that you need to tell people that, I'm not saying how good you are, but how can you help?
yeah.
You know. And for that, you need to be out there. You need to tell people, and this is what I am all about. It's not that you are going to preach someone, but it's just you are just showing a part of your personality, so that people who can connect with you are there for you to listen to you. People who will not, it. imagine the kind of time that you have saved actually. They would not bother, and you're also fine with it, right? I mean, you don't have to please, and you don't have to be every person's hero. You don't need to be that. So, and especially with social media, I feel that it has become a level playing field, and at least in this century, right now, today, anyone who says that I'm not able to do it, it's silly and it's stupid. Why? Because the resources they're equal opportunities and they're equal resources. So you cannot say that. It's up to you how you take it up.
mm,
So
yeah. No, that's a really good point, and I think you're doing great in what you're doing as well. And I think it's just taking that first step, isn't it? Really, and then just kind of keep building on that, and just keep on taking those steps. And like you said, but when you go into coffee shops or you go into certain environments that you're probably not used to, I think like we kind of like certainty. We like to have we like to know the outcome to things. I think, and
clarity, true, true.
I've definitely experienced that. If when I worked in restaurants and hospitality, I'd work in lots of different places, and I'd feel that I'd be looking around, and I'd be like, am I doing okay, and all of these things, and as you go like into these like new environments, you just kind of, I think that's how you grow, isn't it? It's how you grow and develop, and it, it's how we kind of move forward. I think it's like, and I don't think it wouldn't be fun if you didn't have like new experiences and going to different places. Isn't it? It's like if you did the same thing all the time.
I think uh, I think what you're saying over here in particular, what I understood out of it is that whether you're having a linear growth or whether you're having an exponential growth, this is
Mm,
how I understand it, right?
yeah.
Uh, Definitely, in both the terms, you are growing, but it's like when you experiment with a lot of things, you have a wider chance of exponential growth. I tell you why, because somewhere, especially when you are meddling with those different things, somewhere when you take a step back, you could actually see that something or the other will connect, even when they're
Mm,
polar opposite. Like some skill over here or some learning that I had over here would fit just perfectly well in the other thing that I have, right? And it would
mm,
help me out. And that's how you actually keep building it up, and that's how you grow exponentially.
mm,
While when I'm just like sitting and I'm not doing anything, and definitely I'm
yeah.
growing because I'm doing whatever I'm supposed to do, right? I'm not
Yeah.
taking my chances, I'm being very safe. You would still go, but that would be a linear growth. And in that, I think it would take ages for you to evolve. So when you have time and when you can do it, then why not? I mean,
Mm,
what are you afraid of? That people would troll you, or people are not going to support you? But at the end, who cares?
mm,
Someone else who performed worse than you would come over, and people would start trolling this person. So you are easily forgettable, right?
mm,
So I
yeah.
mean, just go with the flow.
Yeah, that's it. And I was just thinking, like, what do you think helps people to kind of grow and make that step or kind of make that leap? Like for you, like doing a podcast or kind of stepping out your comfort zone. Like what do you think is a good way to kind of help people do that? Like kind of looking at role models or just kind of doing it, having support from other people.
Okay, so
Those.
I get so the way I look at it, especially if someone who has been really, really confined, right? I mean, we are
Yeah,
also taking into consideration those sort of people who've not had many experiences in their lives, and which is possible. And because of that, there's so much stuck in their comfort zone that it would take a lot for them to move out of it. So
yeah,
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. One is definitely it's the sort of people that you hang around with. I mean, oh my God, that just plays so much of significance. It's like if I want to be an entrepreneur, but all my friends they are like 9 to 5 corporate jobs, and then I ask them, hey, do you think that's a good business opportunity? And they would say no. Why? Because the core values are very different, right? I
mm,
mean, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I should be sitting with entrepreneurs to understand and learn that skill. So
yeah,
first, I think the community really, really plays. What kind of people are you hanging around with? Second, I think when we talk about taking, doing something different or experimenting, we literally take it too literally and we start thinking the extremes, which is silly because you just started taking your baby steps. I mean, I'm saying that doing one thing different in a day, and that could be, trust me, Adam, that could be even because people are so obsessed about sleeping on their side of the bed. I'm saying sleep on a different side for one day. Take a different route. Do
Yeah,
something different,
yeah,
so that your brain starts to open up to new possibilities and opportunities. We don't even do that. We literally don't even do that. We are so obsessed. No, no, that's my side of the bed, but I take that route. But I have, why? Why are you so stuck up in
yeah,
life? Just
yeah.
like just shake it off and just be a little open. I think once you start doing it, you'll automatically see the difference.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, and that's something that I definitely noticed yesterday. I went for a run again yesterday, and I usually, I'm starting to get back into running. And yes, the other day I ran around the block, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go a different route. So I made that decision, and I went a different way, and I went like near a golf club, that kind of thing. And I took a different route, and I hadn't done this. I hadn't ran that way before ever, and I ended up getting a little bit lost. And then I ended up having to go back on myself and then go around. I ended up running more because I got lost. But like you said, back to your point, it's like a new narrative. It's quite exciting when you do different things. Do things differently, or it's like if you constantly drive down that same road to get your, I don't know, like your breakfast or to get your paper or whatever, go a different route. You might see someone that you haven't seen in a while. You might, something might kind of change your perspective. I think it's little tiny things like that are quite powerful sometimes, aren't they? Because you just don't know what's going to unfold that other way.
That's true. That's true. Like, but see, like you only said right at the start of it that the brain likes clarity. The brain likes certainty. So even when you went to that different direction to for your job and you felt a little lost because the nervous system goes into panic that this is what I don't know of. Like I'm here in a
Yeah,
very uninhabited territory. This is not usual for me, and that's
yeah,
why that is what the comfort zone is all about, right? It's
mm,
and that's why I said that when you do things differently every day, you're just training your brain to uncertainty. Because
mm,
life is uncertain. You can't be very certain about everything. You
no,
definitely you can make your plans and you can have a whole plan chart and you can have a plan B as well, but life is still going to mess up with your plans, right?
yeah,
So doing one thing differently every day can literally uh, help you and help your brain get used to uncertainty so that you don't
mm,
feel lost. You would be like, this is adventure. I've done this before.
yeah,
I've been lost many times. This is
yeah,
nothing new to me. Maybe people who are lost most of the times, they should try certainty as a new
yeah,
activity. Maybe,
yeah.
right? So it as I said, it totally depends from person to person. To each to
That Yeah, that's it. And I think it's being adaptable, isn't it? I think, if you can be kind of multifaceted and you can adapt in different situations, it kind of works in your favor in the long run. And I think that's something that we're definitely seeing. I think, because of COVID, I know a lot of people who are in certain professions and they're having to adapt. And, I know some people who they're not adapting. They're choosing to try and stay in that profession. They're trying to find a different position somewhere else in the same profession. And I think, like you said, to have different kind of plans in place or backups or trying to be adaptable, using your skills, isn't it? And then molding it into something else. And I think, like, I think do you think it's like that's ultimately a choice? We have, people ultimately have a choice, like they can if they really want to. And it's what interests me and what separates the two kinds of people. And I think, like you said, comfort zones, habits, routine, um, probably self belief. That so I think like so many things that hold people in place, but if you break them down and you deal with it, then you can get ahead if you really want to. You think?
I think it's a step by step process. Like, if I mean, I can literally tell you in a few steps that if someone is really looking forward to doing things differently the way they do, it's the first thing that you really need to know that what kind of person you are. right? So
Mm.
that's the first thing that you need to know, because that's how you can do things differently. Second thing, you spoke about mindset, because once you've been accustomed to doing something in a particular fashion, it becomes you become used to it. That's sort of mindset that you have built, right? But mindset is easier to change than the kind of personality that you are. That is difficult to change, but mindset can be changed in a jiffy if you really want it,
Yeah.
right? So maybe once you know your personality, why I say that knowing your personality is the strength. You can actually trick your brain.
Mm.
You can trick your brain once you know how to play with it, right?
Yeah.
And that helps you in actually changing your mindset. That rather than thinking that, okay, I'm feeling a little lost, maybe you can say, the mindset can be shifted to, okay, I'm feeling lost, but this is adventure. you know
Yeah.
Once I reach home, that would be a cool, very cool adventurous story that I have, because I'm
Mm.
sure that even if you felt lost, but you created an experience for yourself,
Yeah.
you remembered, and you're actually talking about it right now. I'm sure
Mm.
you would be jogging each and every day, but every day you don't have that story which you had right now. That's the
Yeah.
reason that you shared. It was something new, it was something different, right?
Yeah.
And after that then comes that, doing things. Once you have understood these two, then you actually start to do one thing differently every day, so
Mm.
that you start to create that habit in your mind that, what,
Mm.
I can be really unpredictable. Your brain also should know that uh, she or he is really unpredictable, and there can be something new at any given point of time. So we should be
Mm.
ready for any surprise, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's what actually helps you in building that confidence, because even when there's an adversity, when you're in an unknown situation and you don't know what to do, but that mindset that I
Mm.
have been in unfamiliar situations before, that gives you confidence, that gives you the strength to be calm and actually go through it.
Yeah. So that's a really good point, and I think that's something that I haven't really kind of thought about too much, myself. It just made me think about it just now from what you said, because I put myself in, like, lots of different situations, and I probably have, like, in some areas, oh, here we go. I knew that was going to happen. The phone just fell off. All right, here we are. All right, it's back. Um, yeah, like I put myself in different situations, so I probably have a good way of dealing, with situations based on, like you said, based on that. And I bet do you feel like that when, say, you go on someone else's podcast or show, when you because, like, you have your own theme and how you do it, and I think sometimes when you go on someone else's show, who's new, like, it's like pushing out your comfort zone in some way, because you don't know sometimes how their theme is or what questions they might be asking, if that makes sense. And sometimes I notice that now, even though I've done a lot of podcasts, I go on someone else's show and I'm like, right, okay, I've got to, you know, be, be on the ball, kind of thing.
No, I get it, because so what happens when I'm actually researching about for my show, right? So, for example, if there's a guest coming for my show, I like to do my homework really well. Like, I like to research about them, because
Yeah,
I'm like that. I want to do the best interview that they've had so far. It's like that. But when I'm going to someone else's show and I'm like, what if they have also researched a lot about me and they end up asking me something that I look absolutely clueless?
yeah,
Thank God for it, never happened. But I think, to me it is fun. Like when I started doing at the start of it, that when I was going on other podcasts, and there
yeah.
have been, of course, instances where they have thrown a question and I'm like, shit, it is live, and I really have to come up with an answer right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But I don't know, like maybe because it's my mindset that
yeah,
I found it fun. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, maybe I need 2 minutes to get back to you with this answer, but I found it really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's using that energy, isn't it? Because that kind of nervous energy or kind of excitement, you kind of use that in your advantage. So, a lot of the time, it's kind of
Right, right.
molding that and using it. And I think I've definitely experienced that when I've gone on people's shows, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm just about to stream this on my Facebook," and I'm like, "What?" and they might have a couple of thousand people watching, or I don't know. And it's that. But then again, I think that comes back to like uncertainty. It's uncertain because you're like, "Who's watching? I don't know who's watching. What are they going to
Right.
think?" And but I think if you think about it too much, it can kind of spin you out. But
Yeah.
it's that excitement, isn't it? And I think it's important, as you said, to go on to try new things. And it's it's how you grow, isn't it? It all kind of comes back to your comfort zone and self growth, and
True, true.
I
I think
think
I think a
yeah,
lot of times people mistake excitement as nervousness or fear.
yeah,
A lot of times you're just excited. Why? Because you don't know what situation this is. And I think many times people misinterpret that
mm.
I don't know what it's going to be about. I'm like, yes, I don't know what it's going to be all about. This is even more fun.
Yeah,
I will get to see something or I'll get to experience something totally random, and definitely there would be a learning out of it, right? So
yeah,
that's what I said. It's all about mindset. It's just how you tweak it here.
mm.
Just that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And when you was last on, I probably didn't do it back then because I was very early into the podcast game. But did I ask if you read any? Do you read at all? Did I? I usually ask people what books they read.
I sometimes I ask them that what books they read. Sometimes
Did I ask you last time? Did I?
I
I
don't
don't think
even
I.
remember.
No. Yeah. I can't. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
True that.
remember.
I
Yeah.
have you been reading any books recently? Have you got any favorite books that you've read or read?
I'm very shameless in that. I've got a very fleeting attention span. Though I have been very religiously trying to work on this to get myself read a book.
Yeah.
I definitely have this Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk still lying here
Nice.
somewhere, which I have to complete, which I've just
Yeah.
finished up. But I watch a lot of video content. That really, I mean, that does it
Mm.
for me. When I see the person, when I see their energy, the way they are talking and their expressions, I think that conveys a lot to me. For me, that 1 hour of video is sufficient enough for me to keep thinking about it
Yeah.
and do something about it. And that I watch a lot. So my favorites, if you ask me, would be, it started with Oprah. Like
Yeah.
the whole
She's
journey
great.
started with Oprah Winfrey. I love Jay. I love a lot of his. I watch a lot of his content, and I don't know if you heard about Tom Belew, the impact theory guy. I think
Yeah.
he's
He's great.
really the smartest man in the room. I
Yeah.
mean,
He's good.
he's really good. These are a couple of my favorites, and of course Gary Vee. I mean, when it comes
Yeah.
to like he is, I don't know, he's unusually not aggressive, but something about him, you know.
He's.
So yeah,
I
these
think he's
are my
passionate.
favorites. Very passionate, very very passionate. Got this really
Yeah.
unsettling energy, which you can definitely sense.
No, they're really good people to kind of watch, and I really agree with you. And I think they've all kind of been through their own hardship and gone through their own things in life, haven't they? To kind of get to where they are now. It's given them that drive, to help others and provide value. And I agree, and I think it kind of keeps you on that course, doesn't it? When you kind of consume content in those areas, are kind of similar to what you're doing. It's that kind of fueling drive that helps you in what you're doing, isn't it? In that process, and
Totally,
I I
100%,
I,
100%.
I agree, and I think like there's so many different areas and ways we can get good content, not just through reading, podcasts and videos and that kind of thing. And do you like growing up or even now? Would you say you kind of have role models or mentors? Like kind of growing up or now, whether that's personal life or like kind of celebrities or like authors or whoever, someone you kind of like look up to or looked up to.
I, while growing up, I don't remember if I really had mentors or if I had role models. But ever since I have grown up, like ever since I have, been conscious about it, I think now I
Yeah,
have many. Now I have many. I don't know if I try to copy that, but I definitely see myself meeting that subject. I mean,
yeah,
that's the kind of success that I want to achieve. That's the kind of, it's not even success. I think that's the kind of excellence that I want to achieve. Let's put it like that. That's the kind of
yeah,
excellence that I really want to touch upon, that, people whom I have admired, they would love to be in my circle. It's like that. Like
mm,
that level of, absolute passion for your craft. That is, I
yeah,
think that's what drives me. That's my why of doing a lot of things.
yeah. No, I love that, and I think that's so important. Like to see yourself from that third person view, isn't it? Of where you kind of want to be and where you want to see yourself, and you know, kind of modeling and taking kind of the guidance from from other people, and driving towards that place, isn't it? It's that,
Right.
it's kind of like that kind of thing that gets you up in the morning, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that,
Yes.
it's that mission, isn't it? And I think we should all kind of, I think we should all do that. And it's something that I like to talk about. And because you have to try things out, don't you, to figure out kind of what path you want to go on. And you got to do whatever, you got to do whatever makes you happy. And each to their own. But I think ultimately there's so much more that we could be doing. And it's nice when you can be on the same vibe as somebody who's kind of on that same path, and you can help other people, by doing things like this.
Right. In fact, I've heard from a lot of people, and a lot of successful people say that whenever you try to do something, always look up to a person who's just 4 or 5 steps ahead of you, not too
Mm.
far ahead, because else you'll get overwhelmed. But for me, I can't. I just can't. For me, it
Yeah,
has to be the one that who's standing right there at the top. That is
yeah,
how I work. Like, so I don't buy everything blindly, whatever even the people whom I admire they say. I like to still think it very objectively that, but does this suit me? So it doesn't suit me. I still want to think of the best, and that's where I
mm,
want to reach. That's
yeah,
that's my you know that's my north star, if I may say so.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
That's a really good point. And I think you've got to. I think everyone's different, aren't they? And you've got to ultimately do what you think is best and what works for you. And I think it's sometimes you should look at the top of the top of the mountain kind of thing. Like
absolutely.
it's whatever works. But I think like that's ultimately like that kind of goal, isn't it? Where you want to strive towards. And it's like I hear people, like Gary Vee says he wants to buy the New York Jets, and for most people that's like a bit crazy. But it's like you said, it's that kind of driving force, that excitement that is pushing you towards that place. And it's important. I think it's important to have goals and tasks, and it's
Right.
something that I've been working on recently, and I'm kind of learning, trying to learn how to kind of prioritize what goal to work on or
Mm.
task, the day. And I think it blows my mind when people don't have goals or tasks sometimes, but then again, I mean, I think that's just that kind of separation between people, isn't it? There are, not everyone's kind of going to be the same. Not everyone's going to be the same as you are. That people got their own mindset and what they want to do, and that's fine. But it's important, like you said, to have that community and that
That's
network of
very
people
important.
who are going to help you in that role.
I mean, you're absolutely bang on there. In fact, if I may ask you, that
Yeah.
when you visualize yourself in future, what do you see yourself? Like, how do you see yourself?
Um. Yeah, that's a good question. I like to see myself, working for myself, and helping other people, and perhaps, doing talks and things like that, and kind of networking events and courses. Um, Still do my podcast, and that's kind of where I see it at the minute. Really,
I
yeah,
get it.
it's important, isn't it, to kind of see yourself in that place, and that's something I kind of I will share that, like you said, if people ask me, I will share it. But I'm quite humble. I'm not one of these people who put on videos on my Instagram saying, "Oh, I'm going to be an XYZ place." But I will share it if someone asks, or I will mention it. And I think, but it's important to have that in your mind, isn't it? Because it's that driving force that kind of keeps you working towards something. There's
I
a
think
higher, like, purpose.
I think more than mind, I mean, that definitely should be in your mind, but I think you should have people that you should be discussing it with more often. Because I
Hmm.
feel that when you're speaking about it, right, just imagine you and I right now, if we start talking about 5 years from now and we are so invested in talking about it, I think the
Yeah.
whole energy shifts. Somewhere when it's like from here now, I can even talk about it with someone, and suddenly
Yeah.
you see it taking a shape, and suddenly you would also see opportunities getting lined up. Like, for example, why did I ask you that question? Is because you can literally tell a lot about the person, that where this person is inclined to go, by just asking that, okay, where do you see yourself after 5 years? And trust me, most of the times, Adam, I think and which is not wrong at all. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
has their own driving factor. But most of the people would say that, you know what, I see myself driving a Ferrari and I see myself in a palatial home, which is all good. But
Yeah.
I think, if you ask me, I think I would say I just see myself hanging around with the best of these people, because I know
Yeah.
if I get into that circle, it's it's just not possible that I will not have any of these. That whatever other
Yeah.
people are craving for, that's all is a byproduct, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I get that knowledge from all of those, if that's the kind of people that I'm hanging around with day in day out, imagine. I mean, there's no, I
Mm.
I don't see a possibility that I won't be there. So
Mm.
it's very important to hear, to understand what the person thinks about himself or herself after 5 years. Where do you see yourself? Is he very people oriented? Is he cause oriented? Is he money oriented?
Mm.
What is your driving factor? Because once you
Mm.
know that, no, I think, like we, if I take it back and connect the dot of the whole conversation, that you should do
Yeah.
things differently. Once you know that, you can literally learn how to trick your own personality and learn to do things differently. So
Yeah.
it's just in a, from a very, I can say, from a bigger picture and stepping back, when you look at it, you can literally connect everything.
Yeah. No, that's it. I agree, and it's so powerful, isn't it? When you think about it and you talk about it and you tap into these things, because I think a lot of the time people sometimes probably don't, unless they have conversations like this.
Right.
It's not always the thing that like growing up like at school especially, they don't say to you, where you're going to be at XYZ time. And it's these questions that we should probably think about more and engage in. And as you said, being around the right kind of people. And when you're around the right kind of people and those kind of conversations, you want to be around more of that. You don't want to settle for other things or engage in other things. And I think that's so important. I think that's like one of the main driving forces to become that, isn't it? Like they say, you become, is it like 5 or 10 of the people you surround yourself with and things like that.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I hear it, when I go places, and I kind of eavesdrop automatically. I think it's because I've been doing podcasting for a while. I tune into other people's conversations, and I think, like, are they really having a conversation about that? Is that what they've with the time in it? Do you know what I mean? And but then again, it's that just it's that tribe thing. I think it's just your energy and what you tap into. It's okay for people to talk about things that you don't engage in. They've got their own tribe, but it's tapping into that, isn't it? And kind of going for that.
I think most of the times, Adam, I think people don't have that sort of circle, close community, where they
Yeah,
can be really very open and blatant about what they really think about themselves in 5 years and what they really want to achieve. If you ask many of them, they would feel that, what if I tell this to my friends, or if I tell this to my parents, they would just discard me, or they would just think that I'm being really funny, or it's not practical. And how
yeah,
sad is that? That you don't even have that one
yeah,
person with whom you can be really, really transparent. And even if it's funny, like
mm,
I have a lot of ideas in my head about me, but I know that I've got people that I can be blatant about it. That I don't know if
yeah,
I'm going to achieve or not, but I know you guys are not going to judge me, and I can
yeah.
at
Of
least
course.
speak them out. And I know that you guys will root for me. That yes, go for it. And
Yeah,
that's how you actually understand whether you have that average of 5 people circle with you, that you can talk about these things. Because
mm,
one, if you don't have, then you actually have to get down to their level rather than bringing them up and
yeah,
talk about these ordinary mundane things. And that's
yeah,
why we're like, why aren't they even having that conversation? It's just that I think all of us have that idea, that idealized dream vision that we have about ourselves. It's just that we do not have people that we can
yeah,
discuss it with. That's I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
completely what I feel.
yeah. That's great. That's a really great point, and I think that's something that I've kind of learned to as well. And I mean, I talk about it sometimes. I felt very different at school, and I was trying to fit in. I was people pleased, and I was trying to fit in the crowd that I was in, and it's only kind of recently in the past year, especially when we met, like last February, it was last March, April, last
March,
March or
April.
April,
Yeah.
around that time till now, that I've kind of found people who are, and in your kind of tribe, isn't it? And it's powerful, and I think you have to kind of look for those people who are going to support you and kind of mentor you in that way, isn't it? To kind of say, yeah, that's you should do that, and it's difficult because, like I said, sometimes people close to you sometimes might not understand, or that's okay, but you can't try. Like you said, you can't let that kind of stop you, because sometimes I've spoken to people, you know, I'm dropping their names, and they kind of don't understand it. I mean, one of my neighbors the other day was like, "Podcasting? Why are you doing that? What's that?" And I was like, "What?" And some people can like let that put a pitfall in the place for them, and it's trying that tunnel vision on what you're doing, isn't it? And people supporting you in that.
I think that's what toxic people are all about, right? Like it's said that they are the dream stealers and they are the energy suckers. That's what they're all about. And in fact, it's not even my quote. I think Jay Shetty says that for every toxic person that you have in life, fill it up with five people who empower you, because that's how only you
Yeah.
can balance it out. Like for one toxic person to five empowering people. That's the kind of tribe that you have to build. So if
Mm.
the problem is not that you do not have people, the problem is that you're not even doing anything to have those people. Then it's a
Yeah.
problem. Then you are a dead end. Then, I mean, you don't even want to change, then that's a problem. So
Yeah.
look out, go out. I mean, no one is stopping you. Don't
Mm.
say that, I can't, I don't have a circle. Go on internet. You will find
Yeah.
everyone. This is how you and I connected, right? How
Yeah.
how did you and I connect? Simply through internet.
Yeah.
So it's just that if you
Yes.
really want it, you'll do it.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing that we have these platforms where we can do that, and it's kind of knowing how to use them, isn't it? It's using it for the right reasons as well. Like
Absolutely.
networking, engaging, and that kind of
Yes.
thing, and it can change your life. You could meet someone and you engage and you do podcasts, and it's pretty amazing, and it makes you feel grateful, and that there are people out there who are on the same kind of path as you and things like that.
All right. And for that, I would really like to thank D Rock and Gary Vee because
Yeah,
it was actually through them that we got connected. I'm
yeah,
saying as if they personally
yeah,
introduced us, but it just
yeah.
sounded so good to my ears. Just imagine, this is the kind of see. That's what I'm saying. It
Mm,
it depends a lot that how you are saying what you're saying, right?
yeah,
I mean, for me, in my head, at least for 2 seconds, I established the fact that no matter how surreal it was, that it was actually those were the people who sort of got us connected. But
yeah,
I liked it, and that's the
yeah,
kind of feeling I really need to have. That's what
yeah,
tells me that imagine that if it felt so good for 2 seconds, if I actually go ahead and achieve it, what kind
yeah,
of high I would be in all the time.
yeah. That's it. It makes you want to do more of it, doesn't it? Connect with people, and to keep engaging in those areas.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, where can people find you on like social media and like your kind of podcast and that kind of thing?
So I'm available everywhere online. I'm on Facebook
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
by the handle of @coach Natasha Singh. I'm on Instagram @Natasha Singh _official, if I'm right.
yeah,
You can reach out to me. I have a website. It's natashasinghofficial.com. And I have a podcast, guys. It's called 2 Cents in 10. It's on Spotify, Google, and Apple as well. Yeah, Anchor.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead
no, awesome. Yeah,
and
and I
drop me a feedback.
yeah, no, awesome, and I'll definitely share your content as well, and promote what you're doing, and I'll put everything in the bio for people to
Oh,
find you as well.
thank you so much. That would be really, really sweet and kind of you. Thank you.
No, you're welcome, and it's always a pleasure to connect with you, and I've had a really good conversation, and it really
Same here. Likewise.
really
After a
mean
long time.
yeah,
This
yeah,
was
it's been a while,
it's been quite a while. Yeah.
but I'm really grateful, to have this, and I wish you the best and everything that you're doing as well.
Yes, we should do it often, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
And
no,
I
no,
always say
definitely,
this, and I sort of I go in my vortex.
yeah,
I always say this, but no, I mean it genuinely that I think we should have these conversations more often.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely, we'll get it sorted.
Yes. Okay.
But all the best in your day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.